welcome all. This is another improv story, the Crazy Werewolf side stories. These several side stories I'm going to be doing for the next so often is going to be about his 7 different mates that the Crazy Werewolf can possibly have. And the only reason why he's getting so many mates is because of when lichens, werewolves, or anything like that end up mating, they start sharing his power. But by doing that, can actually end up hurting the person he cares about, that is mate, over a long period of time to the point that it could kill her. So, in the infinite wisdom of the universe, of the Thunderverse, he ends up with multiple mates to be able to, for one, help keep him sane um through all the craziness that of what's going on, to help keep him centered in life, to help, and also help him not make the wrong decisions, like, wiping out all supernatural creatures and starting a mass hatred of anything outside of the human race, which would not would be a disaster in every form or fashion. But hatred can be out hatred. So, in the infinite wisdom of the universe, he's given him several different mates that allows him to share some responsibilities and stuff. Um, Not much unlike keeping his head during circumstances, to business dealings with races outside of the human race, to dealing with invaders of this planet, um multiple different difficulties throughout all the different things and advancements and stuff that he will help create. Alright, now we're shifting back to the scene where our protagonist is dead asleep, but his grandmother, the druid, is um is talking to his inner wolf, which he did subconsciously with a spell that he created when he was young, before he even gained cultivation, along with everything else this severely OP guy has. Alright. You know he's only growing stronger. You know that, right? Yes, I do, says the werewolf projection. He'll be strong enough to protect this world or destroy it. So that's his fancy. And he has to be my grandson of all different. The werewolf chuckles. You know, I hope he never hears you say that. I know. Sensitive little burger. But with everything he's been through, Speaking of that, do you know what happened to him when he was a kid? Um, yes, unfortunately. Before he lost his memory, um, he was given to this human couple that treated him very kindly till an incident happened where the changeling came in and tried to disrupt the household to kill everybody and give the meat to his master. Well, subconsciously, he, our protagonist, knew who the changeling was, saw through his mask, and violently took him out. But in the process, he got hurt because he was young. He was younger than 4, I believe. And when his adopted parents came home and thinking that he killed their only son, which was actually kind of fucking stupid of him because the son was with them. Fucking idiots. But when they saw the blood and saw their son on the floor, they just immediately flipped the fuck out. And before he knew what he was doing, he just took off. Anger, despair. That, but by the time he hit the door and vanished, they looked around and saw the thing that was on the floor destroyed, disfigured, and then looked back and it's like, holy shit, what did we do? The two parents ran out the door and only saw our back before we vanished. And then, because of an incident that happened where he gained cultivation, is when he lost all of his memories from his early childhood and where he thought he was crazy because shortly after that he was found by some humans in the wood. They brought him over, put him in um an orphanage. So the orphanage shortly sent him to an mental institution because of what he could see, what he can do, and something he could never unsee. He could see the werewolves spirits in everybody. He could see the shades of changelings. He can see the shades of vampires. He could see the auras of cultivators. He could see through the mask of anything that came close to him. Yokai, spirits, demons, you name it. But every human said he was crazy. So he grew up in a psych ward where all he ever did was study so he could stay away from. He ended up going to a high school after he just stopped sharing what he can see. Graduated a year later. This boy is a super fucking genius, even outside of his abilities. And why didn't you infest when normal werewolves? He could hear me, but that's about it. And like I said, because he cast a spell a long time ago, thinking that I was just a imaginary. I just kept the role and ended up trying to keep him on the straight and narrow. Man, my grandson really did have a really fucked up life, didn't he? Unfortunately, so. Speaking of which, because of what he is, how in the world is he gonna get a mate? If or is he gonna be more human when it comes to stuff like that and bumble around? Do not tell him what I am about to tell you. He has 7 possible mates, and he needs to mate with most of them. Not for like sexual gratification or anything like that, but because of his power and because of him sharing the power between his mates, it will literally kill a single or if a triple even mating situation. Not all of his mates will be of a sexual nature as well, for as far as I know. Which more than likely that's gonna happen, but hey, just a manifestation of his inner wolf, which has still needs time to fully uh, mature. Anyway, I've been given this knowledge because of how powerful he is, but the powers beyond. 7 mates? Holy shit. That is insane. And but you said they're not all gonna be like regular mates? As far as I can tell. But I really don't know. I just know of them. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, you have no idea. I wouldn't doubt it. So, anywho, do you know much about what's. I do not. But I do know he needs to at least be with 4 out of the 7 mates before the great trial of this planet happens. At all. All right, go ahead and go get some sleep. Okay? Why do you put on an old facade when he's awake, but you transform yourself into your normal? So, you know how his mental state is. He sees me as just this young girl. You really think he's gonna believe that I'm his grandmother? The immortal witch. Immortal druid. really cares about such things. With everything he's been through, any ease on his mind. Eventually, I will tell him, but as of now, he needs to get his mind stronger. And he needs his mates. I agree. Well, go ahead and go to sleep. I'm gonna scry to see if I can get any information about his future mates. She proceeds to get up. As she looks around, you also see her bed in the far corner, herbs all around the wall. She pulls this light curtain that looks more like a sheet of flimsy wood all the way across, goes to, in a Indian style, starts channeling her mana all around him, or all around her, using a single piece of air. Her eyes start glowing, and she casts a forbidden spell called Insight to find any information she can on. The first thing she sees is 7 people, all ranging from different ages, colors, breeds, and this side story is about this these people. She looks deeply into the very first one, and here we go on the actual side stories. I know I think I just said that, but the first side story is about Star. She is a lichen dragon hybrid that was pretty much, her backstory is um her mother was a cursed dragon. She fell in love with a lichen, which in the Thunder universe there's the pure bloods, which are what we've talked about already throughout the story, and then there's the lichens. The biggest difference between the two is literally they're the exact opposite of each other. Where the purebloods are actually wolves that shapeshift into humans. Lycans, above werewolves, are the original, like, royal class of this world before taken over by the purebloods, and the Lycans just kept to their own spaces. Well, her mother, which was cursed by a witch, not our witch, but was cursed by a witch to be human for 1,000 years. And at the end of the 1,000 year mark, she fell madly in love with a werewolf named Crazy, or which she soon to found out that she was a lichen later on. And because of the curse ending, she ended up getting pregnant. Well, not because of the curse ending, but over the circumstances of the curse ending, um, she knew if the other dragons found out that she was pregnant, especially by something they would consider a lower being, um, they would do everything in humanly possible to kill her and her child. So she ended up faking her death shortly before finding out, or shortly before she started actually going into labor. And Grace ended up going off the deep end, which she ends up killing herself shortly after when she finds out her mate, a lot like werewolves and stuff, have a similar mating bond, except for dragons get deep. When she found out her mate, her werewolf Lycan, died, it destroyed her, and she ended up giving her kid to the one person she knew that would protect her, which was a friend she had, the friend that she helped train to fight against um injustices between humans and supernaturals, especially since they didn't really communicate back and forth. Starting an organization that would expand time, but because of timing and everything, things didn't go well. Well, shortly before she took over as the mother, which she did without question, is mainly because of our protagonist's father, which had a vendetta against a lot of supernaturals for killing a lot of his family. Well, once the kid actually was born and given to her, uh, and found out that the kid's mother died, knowing that she was going to be just another supernatural, made him furious at first. I mean, he was furious at his wife, but his wife never backed down. They grew up a little bit, and as he started seeing her grow up as a kid, of course, all of his fury went away, and he realized one thing that changed the organization and how they made peace later on is because of this little girl. Knowing who and what she is, what she would be capable of, the one thing that he mandatory made sure that she knew how to do is fight and defend herself to against all different supernatural types and creatures. Well, one of the biggest problems that happened though is she never believed that there was anything other than humans, despite her not even a drop hardly human, which is kind of funny. But because of what she is and her being a hybrid, she didn't manifest her powers until way later in life. Like, she ain't ancient or anything. She's only like 25 at when she starts manifesting that, or even being able to be scented by other supernatural creatures. And her adopted mother named her Star because she always shone brightly like the brightest star in the sky. Star Victus. I need to write that down, but I will later. She grew up like any normal kid, other than the extreme training that she was going through, which are she always had Sundays to do whatever she wanted, and when they trained during the summertime, um, she had to at least train 5 days a week, or choosing what 2 days that she could have off. That also means even while she was studying and when going to high school or middle school or shit, even elementary school, every day after um work or school, work, school, whatever, she was training. Of course, this girl also ended up going to college where she lacked center training a little bit, but she always felt that it was a duty of herself to make sure she was never a victim. Seeing all the people that her dad and her mother, which she knew that she was adopted, but she ended up, because her adopted mother died when she was 10. And she did everything in her possible to uplift her adopted dad, short of anything like bad, but she was the reason why he actually was able to get through it without bursting. And she saw her adopted dad and her mother like actual family, like they were her actual parents, not knowing the tragedy that happened to her real parents because of some vindictive assholes that tried to export her being a dragon and being a lichen. Well, during this time, he, his, her adopted dad, or so I say, her dad, ended up creating a peace agreement, creating sanctuary cities for creatures that were um not able to hide themselves, and even a training ground for how people reacted and how to hide themselves stuff. He created the pack nations, which allowed different packs to run themselves through out different spots throughout the entire world. The vampire nation, which oddly enough stayed into one particular nation, ended up having small sects all the way around the world, which they were still all ruled by a their own council as well, and everything so on and so forth. The dragons are the only ones that never signed the concordance, but they also understood that they don't want to deal with lower life beings, especially humans, which at one time used to hunt them down to ate them like they were just some sort of magical meat and used their bones and their skin and their teeth for all sorts of weapons to destroy themselves and everybody else around them. So they're excluded into different areas around the world where it's nearly impossible for humans to survive, between being on mountaintops to way below the surface of the earth to even a colony on the moon. Which, like I said, they do not mess with any other race. And they're especially not fond of the pures, the pure werewolves, or the pure wolves, which they kind of see as an invasion, but they're too high and mighty to even give two shits. Because it don't really affect them. Which, yeah. Well, our story, I know that was a long intro. Like, anyway, she ends up going to college. She ends up becoming a business major and ends up working for her friend's business. She had several things in the past where creeps used to come up, say strange things to her, and she either beat the living tar out of them or just ignored them. Here lately, though, a lot more strange things started happening the day she turned 25, and people were saying all sorts of stupid stuff, but then backed off because everybody knew who her dad was. And he made it damn clear throughout the supernatural community who she was, and she was to be left alone. He even retired his position over the same issue. So keep that in mind when shit goes to hit the fan. And because of her training, actually, she keeps either two crowbars behind her back while she's traveling. She's designed them to where it won't bother her. Or two of those little metal sticks that extend, like the police batons, newer police batons and stuff. She has two of those on her at all times. And any time that she's outside of the city or have to go to any sketchy areas, she makes sure to grab the two crowbars as a way to keep herself protected. And this girl is so well trained. She has literally stopped a bullet with one of these crowbars before. Keep in mind they're both specially made crowbars, but they're still mortal grade as well. So no magical effects or anything. She's just really talented with them and learned primarily how to fight with these two different things, because those two different things would allow her to actually get into more places stuff than her trying to carry a gun everywhere around with her. She know people looked down on her and thinking that she was just a mere weak woman, and she put foot to ass more than once, showing everybody that she ain't gonna let anybody just do whatever they want with her. She's not somebody to be taken lightly, ever. Well, she graduated college way early because, she was smart, but she graduated business school by the time she turned 21. Um, she entered college an year early and everything too, so she started college when she was 17 years old, just turned 17. And she is just now 25 years old. She's been in the business sector of her friend's business, which deals with, oddly enough, protective equipment to protect people, like um, Kevlar shirts, special amulets, bullets, amulets. Can I say that now? Um, to bulletproof backpacks, um, protective gear of all sorts and sizes, between full battle ready stuff to regular clothes. Um, so she deals with stuff that usually is meant to help protect her fellow man. That's one thing that she always liked about the business she was in, is she always wanted to protect everybody, and she loved it. Our story actually begins um, after dealing with a really rude client that tried to demand her to do this, that, or another. She really put him in his place when she actually put him through a conference table. Says, don't talk to her like a dog again. Ooh, she was mad, but she's also made it clear she's not somebody just to pop around and pop again. Um, she was actually driving to a client's building, their business headquarters, which so happened to be this really nice mansion out in the middle of nowhere, though. Um, like I said, the girl just now started bringing out, actually having the smell of something wolf-like. Some people took it as she was a rogue because she didn't smell like a normal. She had a unique smell to her, but because of her dragon blood, she just had a different smell to her. And she would never be considered rogue because, for any lack of a pack, her dragon blood greatly um cut any of that off. Meaning she won't act because, all right, another thing I wanted to explain right now. One of the differences, there's several differences between a lichen and a werewolf, and a pure blood and a werewolf. A werewolf has to have a pack because the wolf inside them still has a lot of that animalistic nature and always needs to be around other wolves to bring that about. Lycans, on the other hand, didn't need that pack. They wanted it, they craved it, but they never absolutely had to have it, unlike their werewolf counterparts. And that's something similar to the purebloods, but sort of the same way. They wanted to have people around them. They wanted to be around their type of people, but yet, on the other hand, it wouldn't drive them crazy. Where werewolves, on the other hand, they had to have a pack dynamic. When they go rogue, something starts happening to them that makes them more animalistic and almost starts denying their human part of them without the pack. One of the reasons why the people were scared of the rogue king that our crazy werewolf just manhandled is because he was animalistic but still had his wits about him and were able to do things that no other werewolf could. Keep in mind, he was an actual werewolf. But I digress on lore standpoint. Well, she took off. Or, well, just taking off towards what she will later to know to be a pack house, but to where um, the business headquarters in to actually, oh, either she was going to help design a bodysuit for them that would help protect them against certain things when or if shit hit the fan from their clients, which included hospitals, doctors' offices, and stuff like that. So she's going to make a business deal to see what they could to find different ways to protect them without all being in battle suits. And yes, they were gonna order some of the actual battle suits too, but they needed special types of battle suits that were made to not be so limited. Which you'll find out it's because they're werewolves and wanted to be able to keep the suit on while they transform and not ruin a $10,000 piece of armor every time they shifted with the stuff on. And she was going to do basically that to see what she can do about it, to see, collect data, so she can bring back the data to the research team to figure out what they could do for what they wanted to do and to create a deal that would expand dramatically. Keep in mind, she does not know about any supernatural creature. Even when her dad was trying to teach her about set creatures, like part of her would refuse to know any of that at all. Well, that caused problems down here and there because she didn't understand what the complaints and stuff were. Well, as soon as she crossed the tax line, this car just drove. This pretty sizable truck drove right in front of her, and several people came out shouting all the stuff that she didn't necessarily understood. She made sure to grab the two crowbars and gradually put them under her back stealthily without anybody knowing, so she had some way of actually fighting back. She was like, she finally got out of the car and says, "Excuse me, I am," and before she was able to actually say her name, "I don't give a fuck who you are, rogue," and starts, "Get the fuck off our pack lands. Now, you have less than 5 minutes to turn around, or we will." "Excuse me, I am here." "Leave now. I won't say again." She was put in the back, especially when she looked down and see the logo of, and then she tried to talk again. No more warnings. And two of the guys just started bolting at her. Like, the fuck are wrong with these people? And the two guys that came after her were looked like one looked like a bodybuilder, like a berserker, and the other guy looked thin, but he was quick. She pulls out the two crowbars behind her, saying again, trying to talk again, but every time she would try to talk, but she had a camera on during this whole interaction too. She pressed a button on her camera that she had on that sent a message to her or not her bio dad, but her dad, saying some shit hit the fan. Well, not without actually telling him what's going on. So he's in the background rushing around trying to figure out where she's at and trying to figure out what's actually going on, when he actually puts in a call to the alpha of the Packlands and be like, you better not hurt my daughter in any way, or I don't give a damn about the peace agreement or not. I will seriously wipe out your entire fucking pack with every resource I fucking have. Her dad's a super scary guy. He may be human, but he's not. He's actually a low key cultivator and has been protecting humanity for a very long time. It's not really somebody you really want to fuck around with. Well, the two guys reach her. She pulls out both of the crowbars, and one of the reasons why she liked carrying around crowbars so much, for one, she could have it around her in a vehicle, and not many people say much to her, and the versatility of a crowbar, because it's a big hunk of metal, so it's really good at bludgeoning. If she needed to throw one, there's two sharp ends that can really do some damage, plus the bluntness of the steel. And another thing is she can hook in people that would cause great amount of damage to somebody. And she uses these things masterfully. If you think more like tapas, where it's like the thing of wood or metal with the bar across here, she uses it some way, sort of like that, but instead of the bar, she uses where the circle it ends to actually do different things on different sides of the crowbar. Well, as the two dudes coming in, the big dude comes in right in front of her and does like this Superman punch, while the roguish like dude with two fucking silver knives come in from behind her. She takes the one crowbar, hooks the rogue dude behind the neck before he can realize it. She pushes him with all of her force against the dude's punch, which the between the force of him being pushed along and the dude being stronger than a shit house, basically that big guy's punch radius is like a small car crash when he's hitting somebody. Knocks the rogue out completely, almost killing him, even him with being a werewolf. And then as he's doing that and his eyes brighten, which she is abnormally strong because of her dragon genes. But she takes the crowbar, strikes directly at his knee at the bend, and then the other um with a blunt side, and then uses the the hook the foot of his other foot, so he's falling towards the blunt weapon, that when he hits with the blunt weapon completely forces him to, when he lands, his knees like this but backwards, like his foot is literally touching his thigh, and he is screaming in pain. And then the next thing he knows, there's this piece of metal being just before his eyes were, until his eyes go black. Keep in mind, she is doing everything she can not to kill either one of these dudes. And then all he hears in the background is "you wench," where she looks back, and to her surprise, she sees two grown men turn into fucking wolves right in front of her eyes, making her eyes super wide. She's thinking in the back of her mind, holy shit, my dad was right. And then out of nowhere, this guttural roar, half deep and raspy and half um like a normal bark, comes out of her mouth as soon as those two turn, and both wolves start gradually walking back without even realizing that they're doing it. Just when she's doing that, she notices another vehicle with this guy coming out, and his eyes go wide. Like, holy shit. And that is basically where I'm ending this today. Um, like, I plan on trying to do some more videos and start recording them on the weekends that I'm off, so every other week. And even though this may premiere Sunday night or tomorrow on Monday, um, I will try to get this done sometime tonight so I can push it out. But have a great night, everybody. Um, If you want your own crazy story, improv story, there you can go to my Twitch channel, and once you actually accumulate of enough points, you can create have me create your own story. Like I said, every one of these are done on the spot. I have just general plans in my head, and any little bitty thing can change at any given moment because everything's going from here to here and then out to you guys. So, thank you for stopping by, and hope everybody is having a good day for the one or two people that may watch this, if I'm lucky. But you guys are awesome. Let me know if you want more by liking the video. Every 4 or 5 likes to any video will get um a will get put out first. Meaning, like, if I was planning on doing a bunch of crazy werewolf side stories, if you decided to for have 4 likes on another video of like the werewolf and the mage, or one of the other videos, um or Lunar, I will do what I can to push it out, that video out first. I'm gonna try to start putting out more videos until now, but peace out, everybody. Like, share, subscribe if you want to, and let me know what you think of the story, good or bad. Peace.